here at the Pluckemin Inn, this is Pluckemin, New Jersey, or they call this Bedminster?
It's in Bedminster. Pluckemin's a village inside of Bedminster, New Jersey.
We're going to link it up on the website. Fantastic, fantastic restaurant. They're partners of ours. They've recommended plenty of customers to us to do their wine cellars. We're back here, repaying Brian for all his wonderful work. He's the head somm here, as well as the co-director?
Co-director, wine director, yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the list.
Well, the list was created in thought of what the owner wanted to do, Carl LaGrassa and Gloria LaGrassa. It was a love of wine, to have a great list, world-class, that represented the best regions throughout the world. And also, one of the most important things to Carl was to make the wines affordable. You go to a lot of restaurants throughout the city and even in New Jersey, and you see some of the prices of wines that you purchase yourself, and they're marked up 2, 3, 4, 5 times in some cases, and it really left a bad taste in his mouth. And he always wanted to allow people to get quality and also at a relatively good value.
Right.
We were recently awarded the grand award from the Wine Spectator, which we were very happy to receive. But what's really kind of even more unique, and I don't think people really realize, but we're the only grand award list recognized as inexpensive on their on that.
Tell them about the Pluckemin 100.
Well, the 100 was created to simplify the wine list. The wine list is, we have two different. We have a red book and a white book that are like 35, 40 pages long. And I did not want to scare the average consumer coming into the restaurant, hand them these daunting books, and all they really want is a simple bottle of wine to go with their dinner.
Sure.
So I created the 100 list. I really simplified it down. I did it by varietals so people knew what they were getting. So even if it was something simple like Sancerre, it was spelled out to them. It was a Sauvignon Blanc. I kept the prices all below $60 to really emphasize value. And they can go to the first 5 pages and get all that information.
And I'll highlight, not to interrupt you, value and quality. These are just not wines that are 60 and under that they're just there because they're cheap. They're excellent choices that you've made across the board in that book.
And it's certainly an area that people are very, very comfortable in selecting, and they do feel comfortable looking at that list. Because the other side, for the wine collectors, some of them look and everybody at the table's got a book and they're all excited and they're just, what am I going to have? But it's a daunting task to go through that list for some people, and
sure.
I really didn't want that to be have guests get aggravated right off the beginning of their meal, going through a book which is 40, 50 pages. Some people love it, but there's a lot of people
show
that are
up an hour before they want
to. Right. So it really simplified things for a lot of people.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the cellar here holds about 12,000?
Yeah, it's about 12,000 bottles. We have about 50,000 in the inventory total.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit. I know you've got some wines acquired through Doris Drake.
Doris Duke collection.
Excuse me.
We were in Florida, and Doris Duke had Christie's was holding their auction, and I guess this was 2004. And the owner, Carl LaGrassa, was a big fan of Chateau Yquem, and he served it to all his dinner parties. It was wine that he really, really enjoyed. And I showed Carl. I said, "Here's an opportunity to buy some great wines." They had all these 29 Chateau Yquem full bottles in mint condition. I said, "If you're going to buy something like this, this is where you should get it." So we were sitting on the balcony down in Florida enjoying dinner, and the auction goes off, and we were doing this all via the telephone bids. And Carl was a person that didn't like to lose. We originally set aside, we're going to buy 6 bottles of Chateau Yquem, and
we're buying 6 bottles.
We're going to buy 6 bottles of Chateau Yquem. And in the end, we ended up getting 72 bottles of I think it was 20 or 30 bottles of Chateau Yquem, 12 bottles of 1934 Romanée-Conti,
wow.
Another 24 bottles of the Le Gaudichaud from Romanée-Conti, and that was 29, which now, after 1932, became La Tâche, but prior was Le Gaudichaud, and 6 bottles of the Richebourg from DRC also, wow. 29. So it was, and Carl went for the best lots. So it was, right at the top lots. He said, "Here's what you can spend. Spend, this amount." And when the lots went off, and started winning one after the end. The prices were well above the estimates that they had initially put down in the book. They were sometimes.
How big was her collection that she was?
I would say there was probably about 400, 500 bottles, and it had never been moved.
Right.
It was like a time capsule. She didn't really drink, so all these wines sat, which were in, I guess, old beet lockers in this estate here in Hillsborough, and dormant, never touched. So they were in meticulous shape.
Wow.
And we've had a few here on several occasions, and they've all been just.
Are there any left?
There are, yes. We have all 4 selections still here at the list.
So you guys come on out.
Yeah.
Go big or go home,
big,
right?
Exactly.
So they say in Jersey.
And I will say they are some of the greatest wines I've ever experienced in my lifetime. And I've certainly had the opportunity with some great wine collectors that have come through here to try a lot of fantastic wines, but those wines certainly merited as some of the greatest wines I've ever
That's
consumed.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on, not to put you on the spot, but what do you think are some of the underrepresented wines, in the world? Like, what do you think is, for me, as building wine cellars, Germany, as we were talking about Terry Thies off camera, the values that I see there are, people always tend to lean towards the Malbecs in Argentina.
Sure.
I always think Germany is. It's never in any of the cellars that we build or, fill after that. So.
Well, I certainly think Germany is a great area to start. I think that's tricky because a lot of people still aren't sold on Rieslings, even though they're the best food wines that are possibly out there. Everybody still has that perception that they're all sweet and they're all
Blue Nun.
Yeah, Blue Nun, exactly. But in the reality, you can drink those wines with spicy foods, all different types of cuisines, and they're truly the best pairs that are out there. But and are also age-worthy for the cellar.
20, 30 years.
20, 30, exactly. No problem.
Yep.
But I think other areas, Austria, its neighbor, the Gruner Veltlingers and Rieslings from that region also, high quality. I like Italian whites. People think of Italy and they think Pinot Grigio. That's the only thing Italy makes. And wow, there's just so many great varietals that are made regionally through that area that people have no idea. And I think they're a little bit, your average consumer is just a little unfamiliar with these different grapes like Grechetto and regions like Orvieto that just produce these fresh, vibrant, fantastic whites that you can drink, and they're very, very affordable in most cases. There are.
Do you have specifics that are on the menu and so forth?
I do. I have several. I have one by the producer of Gine, the Soave, particularly the La Frasca, which is a single vineyard that they do. I think that's great value and high quality. There's another producer by the name of Di Filippo that makes a Grechetto, which is also really high quality.
What do you think the price points of these?
I have those both on my wine list here at $50, I believe. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So you're not spending a lot of money, but you get high quality.
What would you pick? Like I was just saying off camera to Brian, I did have a lobster roll downstairs that was fantastic, and I would think something like that would go.
It would certainly go well with it because the acidity. There's also some texture on the wines, and great vibrancy of flavors, citrus notes. It would work well. It's very versatile.
What do you think are some of the great pairings here at the Pluckemin?
Well, with the menu changing all the time, I always have to kind of reinvent myself because as the season changes here, Juan's menu changes, and every single week it seems like there's 2 new dishes or 6 new dishes.
And here at the restaurant, they are farm to table.
Correct.
And try to do, there's gardens right outside.
We have gardens out back in the restaurant. We also have a restaurant down the street, we have a farm down the street, which we utilize year-round. They have greenhouses on the property. That's 3 meadows, local, literally a mile down the road. And they'll actually plant anything for the chef down there.
That's
If
fantastic.
he wants specific radishes, they'll plant it for him. It's done. Which is great. He goes down there every day to cut the greens for the salad year-round in the greenhouses, which I think is most restaurants just don't have the ability to do just because of the feasibility.
Sure.
Who has a greenhouse a mile away from the
or
restaurant?
Or a 12,000 bottle cellar.
Correct. But chef makes his round down there literally.
And he's Spanish?
He's actually from Puerto Rico, yes.
From Puerto Rico. Does he have that Latin? Are there dishes that...
Actually, very little Latin.
Very little.
He's, I would say, more of a French, Spanish, Spain. He did 2 stages in Spain, Can Roques outside of Barcelona, and also Acolari. 2, 3-star Michelin restaurants
in those areas as well.
in San Sebastian. So I think, and his mentor is a gentleman from the Alan Ducasse group.
Okay.
So very traditional French background. Emphasis, that's his foundation,
Specialty.
but also in that Spanish. He likes to emphasize some of the Spanish techniques also.
Cool. What are your opinions of the wine market right now?
It's certainly an interesting market. I've never seen as many sales reps out with winemakers, regional reps. And they're coming, come from all different directions to sell their wines. 5, 6 years ago, it was, here's your allocation, see you next year. Now you have these producers out banging out the door because it's a hard market out there. The prices rise so quickly, so in a short time, and no one wants to drop their price, but they all have wine to sell each year, and it's made every single year. So with all the different growing regions that are coming into play, you have more wines coming in from all over the world, particularly from South America, Italy, France, and just and wine's being made every year. Every year there's another vintage, and there's a big consumption. One good thing is happening in the U.S. is the consumption level has actually gone up over the last several years, which is nice to see.
Sure.
But
And Yao Ming's in the market now, so
I heard about that.
could be a top. Pardon the pun. We were going to talk about a little bit about the breakdown of the wines that are on your list here. I know there's a lot of California.
Right.
There's obviously a lot of French. Is
Right.
there anything you want to highlight? Or
Well, I think our specialty here would be California. We have a really strength in there. A great selection of some of the top producers. I think Pinot Noir, Cabernets, Bordeaux varietals. We do a little bit of the small producers, and we also highlight some of the bigger producers. I think they both represent a need in the marketplace. I like having small guys that might make 100 wines, has a really high quality that you can't get anywhere else, which a lot of people come in for. Like, what's hot? What have I not had? Because a lot of these guys come in, they have all these wines in their cellar, and to come out with a bottle that they've never seen before, and then to open it up and see that wow, this was tremendous. Where'd you find this?
Right.
And they're scrambling around trying to find the wine. That's what I enjoy showing. It's certainly something I really enjoy doing at the table.
what would be a go-to bottle like that? What would you?
Go-to bottle, let's see. Recently, I like a producer by the name of Modus. Their Antithesis, really high quality blended wine from the Napa Valley.
What's the price point?
The Modus Antithesis, I think, is around 150 on our list.
Big wine?
Very big wine.
Yeah.
Big opulent style, but balanced texture, acidity, really well made.
How much do they make?
I want to say the Antithesis is made in a little smaller quantity, only a few hundred cases.
That's great.
Yeah.
You can find the artisanal wines like that. It usually does blow people away, because it's the same thing when I'm in cellars. It's Robert Parker,
Right.
Quintessa, and all the way down. And when we find a wine that I've always talked about, Bodega Chacra, which is the grandson from Sassicaia, he's got a vineyard in Patagonia. We've done blogs with Piero before.
Right.
5,000 acres down there. His Pinot Noir in the 70 to 90 range is probably one of the best wines I've ever had. It's
Really?
fantastic. And I've poured that in all different applications, with literally Sassicaia to Gaia to you name it. And people are always like, well, what's that? And a lot of they don't know what it is, and make a big, a big element allocation of it. So
Right,
it's
right.
a cool thing to show people.
Yeah, I think people are open to trying new things all the time. That's one thing I'm happy to see guests. We're in your hands, and when you're at the table, it's a quick narrowing focus to see what they like, what they're having for dinner, and it's a couple questions, and we really can pinpoint what type of wine I think they'll enjoy.
And you'll ask what they're going to choose, or is there a wine pairing with dinners here? Or?
We do offer that with our prefix menu. Chef does a prefix menu, and we have wine pairs that go along with that particular tasting menu. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to?
We do actually have ventured into the retail business. We have a virtual wine shop. It's called the Pluckemin Inn wineshop.com.
It's on the website through the restaurant?
It is through the restaurant, but it also has its own website itself too.
Okay.
It does
We'll link up to it.
does have that link. So it's certainly a growing part of our business here as we've begun to build cellars like you actually physically build your
Right.
cellars, we actually build the cellars and stocking them with some of the great producers that I've selected here for the restaurant.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys can send in all your questions through our website. You can hit Brian directly through the Pluckemin Inn, which we'll link up through the website. Appreciate all your work.
Thank you very much.
Excellent job. Please come see the restaurant. It's probably the top 2 restaurants in the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you.